Because he lived, so, and he was just about my age.
To bring the energy into the room, let's acknowledge ourselves for showing up today. Even in the middle of all this stuff we hear is not supposed to be happening. Especially acknowledge you for showing up after we actually played a couple of weeks in a row. Usually that scares people away for a while, so I'm glad to see some people show back up this week. Probably the ones who weren't here last week, but both. That's all right. I got 3 different classes that come every other week, so it's all good. Because the only reason why we're doing this stuff, you all, is so that we can feel connected to Source and also experience joy and experience love. That's what. And so the more you give it, the more you receive it. The more you put it out there, that's what you receive. We're not going to receive what we're not giving. You're not going to receive what you're not giving. You're not going to receive what you're not giving. You're not going to receive what you're not giving. Now, it is possible to be given exactly what would bring you a lot of joy and happiness in your life, but the Course in Miracles says, you know what? We haven't reached that level of consciousness where we allow that to happen yet. I say that again. It is possible to have what you want given to you, but you have to develop the level of consciousness that will allow that to happen. And it's not going to happen until we get to the point that we are willing to allow it and to receive it. So everything that we do that's outside of the box, that's outside of what we normally do, that's letting go of our idea the way it should be, the quicker that the stuff that we want can get to us. So I'm grateful to have you here to give me another chance to remember what I need to remember. And I always like to start out with some lessons from the workbook, because for me, it just warms me up. And I like to hear the truth right off hardcore. So there's a Course in Miracles workbook, and in that I just randomly choose some of the workbook lessons and say them like affirmations for a minute to just kind of get myself into the mood to hear something different, other than what my ego tells me. Which is not too kind sometimes. There's a part of me that doesn't always say loving stuff about me. Anybody else have a part of that in their mind that sometimes doesn't say loving stuff about them? I definitely do. So let's take a breath. What I'd like to ask you to do is just close your eyes for a minute and just focus in on the sound. It's okay to just relax. You don't have to say or do anything. Isn't that good? Yeah. Remember, you need not believe the ideas, and you need not accept the ideas. You need not welcome the ideas, and some of the ideas you may actively resist. Some of the ideas you may actively resist. I say some of the ideas you may actively resist. Some of the ideas you may find hard to believe. I'll say it again now. Some of the ideas you may find hard to believe. Take a breath, just relax. Some of the ideas you will find hard to believe. Some of the ideas you're going to find quite startling. You are not asked to judge the ideas at all. You are not asked to judge the ideas at all. It is using the ideas. It is using the ideas that will show you that the ideas are true. Remember only this: you are never upset for the reason you think. Your thoughts in and of themselves do not mean anything. Your Creator God did not create a meaningless world. Remember that your thoughts are images that you have made. Your thoughts are images that you have made. And you have given everything you see all the meaning that it has for you. You have given everything you see all the meaning that it has for you. You love your life. are not alone in experiencing the effects of your thoughts. You are not alone in experiencing the effects of your thoughts. Then tell yourself, I am determined to see. I am determined to see. I am determined to see things differently. I am determined to see things differently. I am determined to see things differently. I am determined to see things. Now take a look at something in your life that you know you are using to cause yourself unhappiness. Please think of one thing in your life right now that you are using to bring yourself unhappiness, and tell yourself, I am determined to see this differently. I am determined to see this differently. I am determined to see this differently. I am determined to see them differently. I am determined to see them differently. I am determined to see me differently. I am determined to see me differently. I am determined to see me differently above all else. I want to see above all else. I want to see above all else. I want to see above all else. I am determined to see things differently. I am determined to see things differently. I am sustained by the love of God. I am sustained by the love of God. I am sustained by the love of God in me. Today we're going to talk about judgment. Something that I know none of us do, but we're just going to talk about it. At that time I judged, let me see, 1 minute ago? Something like that. So it's in the workbook, it's in the teacher's manual, the Course in Miracles. And a miracle is nothing but a correct perception. It's nothing but looking at things in a way that gives you peace, because at the point that you have peace, you can hear your guidance. And when you hear your guidance, you won't be at all unhappy about anything in your life. Because it's God's will that you have complete and total happiness according to the Course. Now remember, it's very important to remember that I'm just sharing points of view. So what does that mean? That means that this is Course in Miracles is just a point of view. A point of view you can accept, a point of view you can reject. It's okay, no problem. I'm not trying to convert you. So just move, whatever moves you, jump on it. And whatever doesn't move you, let it go. Is that fair enough? Mm-hmm. Is that fair enough? Fair. Okay. So that frees me up to just say what it's saying, and then you get a chance to deal with it and say, I don't buy that, or you go, boy, that really worked for me. So I trust that you will make the right choice for you. Okay? Let's see, until your page is on. Anybody knows already there? Page 27. Yeah. How is judgment relinquished?
27.
Okay. Now, it says judgment, like other devices by which this world of fear and illusions is maintained, judgment is totally understood by the world. Judgment is totally misunderstood by the world. Actually, he says we confuse judgment with wisdom. We confuse judgment with wisdom. And we let judgment substitute for the truth. And it says, as the world uses the term judgment, an individual is capable of good judgment and bad judgment. And your education is aimed at strengthening your good judgment and minimizing your bad judgment. Is that the truth? We think we're learning a lot so we can have good judgment as opposed to bad judgment. And the Course says, but there's considerable confusion about what good judgment and bad judgment means. Because what's good judgment to one person is bad judgment to another person, And even the same person classifies the same action as showing good judgment at some time and bad judgment at another time. It's a good judgment for me to have a glass of wine right now. It's bad judgment for me to have a glass of wine right before I get ready to go home. You see what I'm saying? The same action, but I classify one as good judgment and another one as bad judgment. And so there's not any really consistent criteria determining what these categories are that's really being taught to us. So sometimes he said at any time the student may disagree with what his would-be teacher says about good and bad judgment, and the teacher himself may well be inconsistent in what he believes about good and bad judgment. So good judgment in these terms does not mean anything no more than does bad judgment. When you don't really know it's a good judgment or a bad judgment, it really doesn't make any difference. So the Course says, so it's necessary for us as demonstrators of God, teachers of love. He says it's up to us to realize not that we shouldn't judge, but that we can't judge. See, when someone tells me I shouldn't judge, that's different from them telling me that I can't judge. Because it says in giving up judgment, you're just giving up what you didn't have in the first place. You're just giving up a false idea. He says an illusion is a false idea. So he says you're just giving up a false idea, or better, you're just having the illusion of giving up a false idea. Actually, when you give up judgment, you're actually just being more honest. Interesting. When you're not judging, you're just actually being more honest. Because you recognize that judgment is really impossible for you, so you're no longer going to attempt judgment because you know you can't. Like, I know I can't fly from a physical level, so I don't get up every day and say I'm going to fly under my own power today. So someone says to me, I shouldn't try to fly under my own power today. That's different from me being told you can't fly under your own power today. And once I realize I can't do something, then I stop trying. So the way you get rid of judgment is not through telling yourself, I shouldn't judge, I shouldn't judge. We've been hearing that ever since we were kids. That don't mean nothing, hardly nobody. It's one of those things everybody says, but nobody does it, pretty much. It's just like when people say they believe in God. It's something people say, but they don't really believe it, in most cases, because we're too freaking afraid. How can you be believing in God and be terrified about how you're going to make it? And whether your rent's going to be paid, or whether you're going to have a roof over your head, or whether you're going to have the right partner. Anytime you're a worrier, you just will admit to yourself you haven't worked on your connection to source yet the way you should. Don't be saying I believe and that you're scared about everything. You're worried about everything, but you have such wisdom. It's like, no, I need to get a beginner's mind. I need to get that mind that says, I really don't know what it's for. So I'm not criticizing you. I'm not judging you. What I'm doing is sharing with you the right perception according to the Course that allow you to have some peace of mind. You can't judge people. You can't judge people. You can't judge people. You can only judge yourself. Yes. And every judgment you put on somebody else is merely your own judgment on yourself. So if you really want to know how you feel about yourself, pay attention to what you're saying about others. If you pay attention to what you're saying about others, you know how you feel about yourself. I have a friend of mine that I've known her 20 years, and I can't think of 3 times I've ever heard her say one negative thing about anybody. She's always pointing out people's beauty, their light, their generosity, how cool they are, how wonderful they are. That's what she talks. But if you say something to her about her, then she's very self-effacing and no, what you talking about? And I was thinking, I said, wow, if she's only seeing loving things in everybody, whether she recognizes it or not, that's how she feels about herself. And then the people who think they think highly of themselves, but they're constantly judging and criticizing and condemning everyone else, that's how they feel about themselves. And then they're shocked when they attract people who judge and condemn them. It's like they just freaked out. It's amazing how much I get upset about people doing to me what I do to them. Isn't it a trip? I mean, they're totally upset with them, and I'm doing the exact same thing myself. Then it goes on to say that this is no sacrifice. No longer attempting to do something that you can't do anyway is no sacrifice. On the contrary, the Course says you've actually put yourself in a position where judgment through you can occur. That's deep. That's deep. Wow. You got to put yourself in a position where judgment through you can occur. So what does that mean? Whenever you read the Course in Miracles and you ask, what does that mean? What you do instead of analyzing it is you go to the next sentence. You keep moving forward. Every time you're ready to stop and analyze the Course, You move forward. So it says, judgment through you rather than by you can occur, and this judgment is neither good nor bad. It's the only judgment there is, and it's only one. God's Son is guiltless and sin doesn't exist. Now, what does that mean? You are innocent, and you can't do anything that can permanently separate you from love, that can permanently separate you from God. That's what the Course says. The Course says a radical statement. It teaches that that which created us is only love, only loving, never condemns us, and is always willing to heal us. That sounds cool to me.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be straight up with you. That sounds cool. Because think about it. You can either believe something about your Creator that makes you feel afraid and self-condemned, or you can believe something that's more in line that makes you feel inspired and makes you feel good and makes you feel loved. Yeah. Now, would truth make you feel inspired, loved, or supported? Or would the truth make you feel depressed and fearful? The real truth would be something that's loving. That's how you can always tell whether or not you're really hearing something that's really true. If it's something that's really true, it's going to move you in a direction of love. If it's something that's coming from something you're making up that's not true, or something you bought from somebody else that's not true, it's going to make you feel depressed and angry and separate. So it's really easy to tell the difference between truth and illusion. Truth is going to inspire you and it's going to move you. And what's not the truth is going to depress you and separate you. Now, based on that, you'll know pretty much where your thought system is. If you're depressed all day, you lying to yourself all day. You lying to yourself you a miserable person all day long. You lying to yourself all day long with little lunch breaks. You know, and then everything when you pee, you might, not lie to yourself, but you could be sitting on the toilet lying to yourself too. So it's all possible. So who wouldn't want to hear that they deserve love? Who would get upset with a man standing in front of them saying that they got a Creator that's loving, that wants to support them, that wants to guide them, that wants to move them toward the light? Somebody who's self-condemning themselves, somebody who's full of self-condemnation. You cannot convince a person who hates themselves that they're loved. You can't do it. So anytime you say something positive or loving to them, it just depresses them even more because it doesn't fit into the way they figured out everything to be. So when I'm teaching, and I've said this a lot of times, I'm teaching the people who want to change. I'm not teaching people who want to be convinced that they deserve to be happy. I'm not at least been interested in that. I want to join with the people that already know they want to do it differently than the way that they're doing it. Anybody here like that?
Yes.
Okay. Raise your hand so I'll know, please. Okay, so it's great that we want to go to the light, right? We want to go to the love. Okay, so are we willing to tell the truth, to do that, be honest about our own egos, tell the truth about ourselves? Okay, let's do, because of course miracles don't kid around. Anybody that reads it knows it. So it says, now, so I'll say this to you again. The only judgment that's truly true, according to this, is that you're innocent. You're not sinful, you're not guilty, you're innocent. Now, you may not realize that you are. You might not believe that you are. You may not act like you are. You may not even create circumstances that witness to you that you are. You may be in a reality that it looks like there's judgment, condemnation, anger, and attack. But that doesn't change the fact that you're innocent. And you only deserve love. You're a child of love. You're a child of God, which means you're a child of love, which means you're infinite love, which means you're infinite spirit, which means you're unlimited. You're not a victim, and you're powerful, and you're a creator, and you can have what you want. So the aim of our curriculum, unlike the goal of the world's learning, is the recognition that judgment in the usual sense is impossible. This is not an opinion, but a fact. Judgment in the usual sense is impossible because in order to judge anything rightly, in order to judge anything correctly, in order to judge anything correctly, in order to judge anything correctly, you would have to be fully aware of an inconceivably wide range of things. So let's say you are Mr. Miss Judge, all right? And I'm getting ready to judge you all right now, okay? And so let me see if I can judge you all correctly. Let's do the Earl Purdy can he judge test. Okay, number one, I would have to be aware, like for instance, if I took Zen right here and I was ready to judge her, let's see if I can judge her. Okay, I'd have to be aware of an inconceivably wide range of things in her life, and I have to be aware of her past. I would have to be aware of her future, and I'd have to be aware of her present in order to judge you correctly. I have to know everything that's going on in your present. I'd have to know everything that was going on in your past, and I'd have to know everything that's going to happen in your future. That's the first thing I'd have to know if I was going to judge Zen correctly. So I want you to give yourself the test about whatever you're judging right now. Then the court says you would also have to recognize in advance all the effects of your judgments on everyone and everything involved in your judgments in any way. So I would have to know her past, I would have to know her future, I would have to know her present, and I'd have to also recognize any effects I also have to recognize in advance all the effects that my judgment is going to have on her. I have to know what's going to happen to her as a result of my judgment, as well as knowing everything that happened in her past, everything that's happening in her present, everything that's happening in her future, and I also have to know what the effect is going to be on her from my judgment and everybody else involved in any way. Okay, that's the next thing I have to be able to do if I'm going to judge you correctly. Then I would also have to be certain, if I'm going to judge you correctly, then I have to be certain that there is no distortion in my perception. I have to be absolutely clear that my perception is totally clear in this moment about you, so that my judgment would be totally fair to you and everybody else that my judgment rests on, in the past and in the now and in the future. So let me say that one more time. If you're going to judge, the reason why you can't judge is you'd have to know everything about my present, everything about my past, and everything about my future. You'd have to also be aware of the effect on me that your judgment is going to have on me and everyone and everything else connected to me. You'd also have to be certain that you are seeing things perfectly before you could judge me, so that your judgment would be totally fair to me. Now, come on, let's be honest with each other. Who is in a position to do this? Who in this room is in a position to do this? Yeah, you can say it. You can say it. Yeah, but the truth is, you know you can't. Now, do you understand why you're saying you can't, rather than saying you shouldn't? Everybody get that now? You can't. You don't know what happened. None of you know about my past, really. Nothing about my past. You'd have to walk a mile in my shoes to judge anything that I do. You don't know anything about my present, other than seeing me 1 hour on Sunday. You don't really know anything about my life and who I am, other than that. And certainly you don't know what's going to happen to me in the future. Right. And I really don't think you all have perfect perception. I'm sorry. I just don't know how to break it to you. I just don't think y'all all have perfect perception. Okay? And I don't think you know the effect of your judgments on me for the rest of my life. All right? So I can't judge you, and you can't judge me. So don't do it because you shouldn't do it. Don't do it because you can't do it. That's right. Now, what would happen if I didn't judge all day? I'd probably have more energy. I'd probably be a more happy person, right? Exactly. It's funny. It's like when you get into the truth, you think it's asking you to do more. Actually, it's always asking you to do less than what you're already doing. That's the hard part about it. You know, what did we just hear? If you heard that correctly, you would walk out of here doing less. Yeah. You wouldn't be walking out of here doing more. Whenever you hear the truth, it lightens the load. When you listen to your ego, you always feel like you got more to do. That's another way you can take it. Okay? So before I go to the next part, any questions about what I've said so far? And if it's going to be answered in the next part of what I'm saying, then I'm going to say we're going to cover it in a minute.
I just have a comment, because so you're saying the only correct judgment is innocence, so you can't apply that judgment to everybody without, making anybody wrong and it'll affect you positively and you're not causing, and it's just, so that's the one you could do that with.
Did everybody hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. That's not your judgment.
Okay.
That's why it's the right one. You see what I'm saying? You say you can use the judgment that you're right, but that's not our judgment. Our judgment is not that we're sinless and we give. That's the judgment coming through. See, when I'm sitting up here talking to you, I'm not giving you my judgment. I'm sitting up here all the time judging everything I'm saying and doing as I sit up here. I'm judging whether or not I'm effective. I'm judging whether or not I'm getting my point across. I'm judging whether or not my ego never stops. It never sleeps. It always is telling me some crap. at all times. It is. The only difference is that you begin to wake up is you just don't use it as your guide. It's not that it's not going to be saying stuff. You're not enough. You'll never be enough. You'll never be successful. It's like it's going to always do it. What's going to make the difference is when I stop listening to it. And it's really easy to tell when people are listening to their ego. They have no joy. Mm-hmm. They have no life. They have no energy. I can tell when people walk in whether they're in their egos or not. Mm-hmm. Just like you could tell I was in my ego pretty much. I mean, I could act like I was happier than I am, but you know what I'm saying. You pretty much can look at people and tell there's any fire in the, like there's any fire in the hole. you can. It's not. You don't have to be psychic to know who's happy. All you got to do is just open your eyes and look, and you'll see who's not judging or who's judging themselves as innocent and deserving of love. Yes.
It's really cool how you break it down, Earl. It's judging. Usually when we judge for negatives. We always want to talk about what somebody's not doing it to meet our standards or we're better. But when that's a negative. So when you just eliminate that negative period, you have nothing but positive. So now instead of judging you, I'm not even paying you no attention. I'm into what I'm supposed to be into, which takes the stress.
You have to love yourself to just accept the truth for yourself and you trust that everybody else is going to get it when they need it and want it from the spirit. You mess around and have a happy life. Okay, that's sorry. Sorry. But misery likes company. If I'm a miserable person, I got to try to have somebody to be miserable with. So I think I'll just have me a relationship. Do you know that's what most people who are sad, they get a relationship because they don't want to be sad alone. It's not like they're trying to get the relationship so they can bring more joy to somebody else. I'm miserable, and I think if I have somebody else, I won't be miserable. There's just two miserable people together equals happy people. Okay, so remember that if you say to me, you're innocent, if you say to me, I'm innocent, I'm not asking you to believe it. Aha, did y'all hear what I just said? Mm-hmm. I'm not asking you to believe I'm innocent. I'm not asking you to believe I'm sinless. I am. So when you say I'm innocent, you're just going into agreement with the truth. That's all you're doing. It has nothing. Do you think the way you feel about me really has anything to do with me? It doesn't. At all. Do you know that it's impossible for anybody's opinion of you to have any effect on you unless you give it the power? Okay, now everybody always says, okay, but then they still want the opinions of others to matter. So you have to be honest with yourself when you say, I don't really, want other people's opinions to matter. Okay, well, are you not being yourself because you are afraid of what somebody else may say or do? Then you're falling in that camp. Mm-hmm. I have to remind myself constantly when I come in this class, be Earl, be Earl, be Earl. Don't be anybody else. Don't try to be like Wayne Dye, Marianne Williamson, Jerry Renard, Anthony Robbins. No, you be Earl Purdy. Just be you. That's all, because that's the easiest person for you to be. Just do that and see what happens. But in this world, you have to be proactive about stuff like that because you're generally surrounded by people who live their whole lives based on other people and other people's opinions and other people's thoughts and what other people want them to be or do. So you don't get a lot of help from your brothers and sisters at first until you become it, and then you draw other people that are trying to do the same thing. Yeah.
So Earl, I wanted to ask you about when you were talking about the truth, and if you hear the truth, that you feel joy.
When you hear it.
Yeah.
Now, when you hear it, see, people hearing my words is not hearing.
Yeah. Okay.
You all hearing my words is not hearing.
Okay.
When you hear the truth, then that means you recognize the truth, and then you respond to it in a loving way. But at first, people hear the words. Most people that come to classes just hear words. Okay. But they don't actually hear what you're saying. Because if they did, then whatever's bothering them wouldn't bother them as much as it's bothering them.
Mm-hmm. So, because then my experience is sometimes, a lot of times, when I'm rigorously honest about what's going on with me and everything, a lot of times I feel sad because I recognize what's blocking me from love. And I'm like, oh boy, and there's a part of me that feels like sad because I know I have to let that go. So is that the ego?
What do you think?
I think so. I think
I
so.
would think, that sounds like the ego to me, that you would be sad about discovering a block to your happiness that you're willing to let go of, but you're sad to let go of. And I would think the part of me would be sad, would be the part of me that thought I needed to be hurt and that I needed to be punished, because I wouldn't be punishing myself no more. I've never seen people get more depressed sometimes as a counselor when you give them a solution.
But then,
I'm serious. You think I'm kidding? You want to see people get depressed, let them come to you and you give them some answers.
but then that doesn't mean that I'm doing some, that I'm doing something wrong there. I just, it's a matter of recognizing, oh, that's the ego, and the ego is sad. And
That's it.
all.
That's it.
It's not like, because I think the ego tries to convince me, oh, you're doing something wrong because you're sad.
Instead of focusing on what your ego is trying to do, why don't you say, I'm the child of God and I'm innocent. Why don't you focus on I'm the child of God and I'm innocent. I'm the child of God and I'm innocent. I'm a child of love and I'm innocent. I'm a child of spirit and I'm innocent. I'm innocent. I'm innocent. I'm innocent. Now the challenge with saying you're innocent is that everything about you that doesn't feel innocent comes up. As soon as I tell you don't think of a pink elephant, everybody in the room will think of one. Right? So as soon as I say you're innocent, all your guilt pops up. But if I say to you, you're guilty, this is the guiltiest bunch of people I've ever seen in my life. Y'all are guilty, y'all no good, not one thing about you is good, you're just pathetic, you're sinful, you're guilty. You say, well, I'm not that bad. see, the minute I say you're guilty, then all your innocent thoughts come up. Oh, no, wait a minute now. I'm no better than that. See, but if I say you're innocent, then it brings up the opposite. Then you go, well, you don't know what I did prom night. You wasn't with me in that back seat. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, so you gotta realize that there's a conspiracy. A part of your mind is a conspiracy that goes like this. You are to never feel happy, connected, loved, and joined. You're supposed to feel separate all the time and alone and on your own. And that part of your mind does everything possible to keep you feeling that way. And there's another part of your mind, though, that believes you deserve abundance beyond your wildest dreams, love beyond your wildest dreams, freedom beyond your wildest dreams, fulfillment. And that part of you is absolutely serious about giving you that. You're the one that needs to make up your mind. You're the only one that's not on point. There's a part of you that goes, I hate your friggin' butt, you're no good, and I'm going to punish you for what you did. You're not enough. And then there's another part that goes, you're the child of God and you're totally innocent and guiltless and you deserve happiness in every way I possibly can. No matter what you do, I'm going to try to remove those blocks from your mind that allow you to have that joy and peace that you deserve. And then there's me in between going, do I deserve that? Oh, do I really want to go side with my joy? Oh, am I going to criticize myself again? You need to make up your mind. Okay, thank you. Did you now, everybody got a date for next Friday night? Okay, now, what was your question, Doc?
Well, I was just telling Margie about it, that walking in, it's funny you should be talking about judgment, because walking in here with one of my housemates, I'm judging all the way, we're walking from the car to the door, this other person who is a housemate. And then we get in here and you decide to talk about judgment and how it's a rejection. And so I'm going, I've been coming here for over 10 years, or about 10 years, no, over 10 years now. And I know better, but I still do it. And am I trying to punish? And then I come here and then I feel guilty. Am I trying to punish myself? I mean, why am I doing this? Is it just I'm human and I'm I can't remember.
There's a payoff that you're getting out of it that you have not been willing to relinquish yet. You're getting a payoff out of it. And whenever you keep a pattern for years, there's something that pattern is offering you that means much more to you than the peace that's being offered to you right now. And until you see the value of something beyond whatever the payoff is, then you'll keep on doing it. So the way that you can undermine it is to realize that your judgment on your room, on your housemate, or whoever this person is having absolutely zero effect on them. When I say zero, I mean just zero. I mean none. They don't feel your pain. They don't feel your upset. They're not thinking about it. anything like the other thing that helped me get past a lot of that was also to realize that no matter what I think about them, I don't change them from being innocent and a child of God, and no matter what somebody thinks about me, it doesn't change me from being what I am. So if you judge, go ahead, have a judgment party. Have a, just throw darts at their picture, get a little voodoo jar and put a little pen in his hand. Say, this is my housemate. Then put a pen in it, because they won't feel the pen. They won't feel any of it. So you go for the letting go of judgment, not because of what it's going to do for the other person. You do it because you're the one that's suffering the pain of the judgment. It's just keeping you from enjoying yourself walking in the room. It's keeping you tortured. Now, so that means you want to torture you, which means at some level you're not loving yourself. And you're punishing yourself for something that you think you've done. I don't know what that is that you think you've done, that you think you need to be punished in order to absolve yourself from it. And you know what? It doesn't even matter. You know why? Because it's not true. You're innocent and you're a child of God. So we don't even have to try to break down what that is that you've done that you think you need to punish yourself for. All you need to do is start using the thoughts that I'm giving you as soon as possible, which is, here's the way out. When I had a big call for love on the way in here, Earl. My call for love and my call for the love of God took the form of me judging the person at my house. That's my call for love. That's my call for God. That's my call for help. That's my call for healing. So you change your judgment into a prayer, and then when you judge people, you're just asking for help, and you're asking for love, and you're asking for the universe to heal you. Then there's no need to feel guilty about your judgment, because your judgment is not having any effect on anybody but you, and it's not really having an effect on you, because who you really are is also innocent and loved by God. So your judgments on yourself, I don't know how to break it to you, it has not changed one single thing about you. Nothing. Zero. So all that work you've been doing all your life to criticize yourself has had no real effect except in your perception. Period. So nobody else is feeling it, right? So you don't even have to feel guilty about thinking you're hurting somebody else. You're not. Isn't that wonderful? You're just taking yourself out. Isn't that great? I love how good news really moves everybody in my class. It's just an awesome thing, because there's a part of us that really believes that punishment is correction. We grew up thinking that if you punish me for what I do wrong, then I'm going to be a good person. So if I want to be a good person, I've got to create pain for myself. I've got to create punishment for myself so that I can be absolved. How can I do it? I'll get the worst relationship I've ever had in my life, the most unfulfilling relationship I've ever had in my life, the most abusive relationship I've ever had in my life, so I can hurt myself and give myself the pain I think I need to absolve me from the guilt that I feel from the things that I've done in the past. I know what I do to punish myself because I judge myself as not being deserving. I'll never have enough money to pay my bills. I'll think $5 is some money. That's punishment. Oh, I know what I'll do. I'll go to a job. I'm going to take the freaking clock and throw it across the wall every time the alarm goes off in the morning. That's a good way for me to hurt myself. Yeah. Oh, I get the worst evaluation. I've been there 20 years and they just promoted the janitor to my job. If you want to punish yourself, this is the perfect place to do it. If you want to hurt yourself, this is the perfect place to do it. There's so many different ways right in this room you can take yourself out. You ever notice that? You can stick a fork in this, stick in the light. You can stick your fork in the socket, you be gone. Somebody could hit you upside the head with that speaker, you be gone. Somebody could take some water and waterboard you right now and you be gone. You know, so many ways to take. You could trip and hit your head up against a chair and you be gone. Have you noticed there's a zillion ways to get out of here, but there's just only one to get here?
Yeah.
That might be a message right there. You only come here one way, but leaving here, there's a zillion ways to go. Have you ever thought about that for a minute? So what I'm saying to you is, you are innocent. You don't deserve to suffer. You make mistakes. We all do. Therefore, correction, loving correction from that which created us. Everything wants to love you. Everything wants to love you. Everything wants to love you. You need to get on board. You need to want to love you. But I'm looking for somebody else that's going to do it. They're going to give me my value that I'm not giving myself. I know I'm going to meet them at that party the next Saturday night. That's going to be the one. That's going to be the one. They're going to make me feel like I'm the most important thing in the world. You know, you should wake up in the morning, if you're in a relationship and you have a partner, you should wake up in the morning and look at them and go, what the hell was we doing? No, what you should do is get up in the morning, look at them and go, this is my Savior laying beside me, the person that's going to help me stay awake and aware of how loving and how much I deserve love and how innocent I am and how we both make mistakes, but we're going to help each other realize our value beyond our mistakes. And we're going to use our relationship to wake up to who we really are and to know our power. That's the purpose of me being your friend. That's the purpose of me being your partner. So that we're going to get in touch with the good about each other. We're going to remind each other about the good of each other. And when one of us forget it, the other one's going to remind it. We're not going to be in each other's life to judge each other, condemn each other, criticize each other, and talk about what's wrong with each other. Avoid relationships like that with the freaking, like a freaking plague. No one's going to save you because you're not in danger. Hello, if you're waiting to be rescued, I'm sorry. There's nothing for you to be rescued from. And so I said, woo, that freaks me out. What do you mean there's nothing to be rescued? No, the only thing you need to do is change your freaking mind, and then your whole life will change. Your physical reality is a reflection of your thought. Boy! The way you think. Your love life is a reflection of the way you think, Earl. Your financial situation is the way you think, Earl. Your friendships are the way you think, Earl. Your social life is the way you think, Earl. Change Earl's mind and Earl will have a brand new world right in front of his eyes in no time at all. But Earl, do you love Earl enough to do that, Earl? Would you do that for Earl? I know Earl has his issues, but would you be open to Earl being healed by the part of him that does know everything, past, present, and future, and that loves him unconditionally? Would you let that part of you start to attract your friends, your situations, your circumstances? But you're going to have to take a little time to learn how to communicate with me, is what your higher self says. You're going to have to take a little time to get in touch with how I communicate, because I don't communicate the way a guilty, fearful, sinful, guilty mind communicates. God doesn't communicate with us the way we communicate with ourselves. We got a communication problem here. If we don't know how to think loving enough to be in communication with our higher self, then you go, well, how do I do it then? If I don't love myself, how am I going to be saved? Well, there's a part of you that does love you, that knows you deserve the love. Let it bring it to you for you. You resign as your own teacher. Turn in your resignation today so that I can help you. That's what Spirit is telling us. God, I got some good stuff in store for you. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. Get out of the freaking way. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. What do you mean I'm in the way? What am I doing that's in the way? You're trying to be in charge. You're not listening. Woo! I think my understanding is a powerful contribution to the truth that makes it what it is. It's not true unless I say so. So then it says, lay down judgment, not with regret, but with a sigh of gratitude. Now you are free of a burden so great that you could merely stagger and fall down beneath it. What burden? Judging myself. And it was all illusion, nothing more. So now you can rise up unburdened, you can walk lightly on, and it's not only this that is your benefit, that you can rise up unburdened and walk lightly on. Actually, your sense of care is gone because you have none. Why don't I have a sense of care? Because I know I'm sustained by the love of God, so whatever I need will be given to me. I'm sustained by the love of God. I know the right relationship will be given to me. I'm sustained by the love of God. I'll be put in the right place in the right time to do the right thing. I'm sustained by God. I am guided by God. It's not up to me to do it alone right now, so I can walk lightly now. Now you've given your judgment away. You've given away your care along with judgment. You're going to give yourself to the part of you whose judgment that you've chosen now to trust instead of your own. I'm going to give me to the loving Earl. I'm going to give me to the unconditional, unlimited Earl. I'm going to give myself to the part of me that's linked to Spirit. I'm going to let go of my judgments on myself. So if I put myself down, I'll go ahead and feel it, go ahead and put myself down. Then I tell myself I'm giving that all the meaning it has for me. Then I'll tell myself that I'm thankful that I even have the ability to choose how I want to think about myself. And then I'll tell myself, you know what, I'm still as God created me. I am 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 still innocent. I am still loved. I am still lovable. I'm still powerful. I'm still the creator of my experience. I can still have what I want no matter what I'm telling myself about anything. I can still have what I want no matter what I'm telling myself about anything. I'm still loved no matter what I'm telling myself about anything. You're still loved no matter what you're telling yourself. You're still loved. So it's a trip when you hate yourself and somebody's loving you anyway. You just wonder if they got a bad judge of character. You love me, you really got low standards. That's the way some people really look at it. That something must be wrong with you if you are attracted to them. And that very person is surprised that they have an abusive partner, abusive friend, an abusive... Hey, look, you having somebody with you that's giving you back what you think you deserve. They're witnessing to, like I was saying to you earlier, there's a payoff in that if it's been 10 years and you're still doing the same thing. Then you just should enjoy it and go, I enjoy this. I like this. I want to do this. I'm doing this because I want to. I love judging my roommates or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and just have fun with it instead of beating yourself up about it because you didn't change them. They still love. They're still the creator of their experience. You can't block their happiness. So don't worry about it. Don't stop worrying about it. You hate your mama. Big deal. You hate your mama. You hate your mama. You hate your mama. So what? Your mama's in Paris. And that really upsets me to think I'm doing all that hate and judgment and the other person don't even ain't feeling it. I'm hating my girlfriend for, my ex-girlfriend for what she did to me, and I'm not letting myself have any other relationships because I haven't gotten over her yet and what she did to me. So I'm never going to date anybody. Once every 300 years, maybe I'll go out on a date because I've been hurt and I'm not going to let nobody else hurt me again, and I'm all miserable and I'm putting them down and everything. And that joke is in a Y right now. With their brand new lover. They don't even remember your name. They go, oh, I think I saw him on the Facebook page. And you like, I will never date again. The whole suffering. I mean, all of you all have had that experience of maybe being in an argument or upset with somebody and they just won't even speak to you and they're mad at you and they won't even talk to you, and then the phone ring and then they go, hey, what's going on? Yeah, everything's good, everything's good. And then so they go, you're right back to that mood. Right? Which means they're deciding to be that way. They're deciding to be that way with you. Just wake up. Wake up. Wake up. You're free. You're free. You're free. You're free. You're free. You are free. You are free. And you are adults. There is no excuse. You're an adult and you're free. You have no excuse. I don't want to hear it. You don't have an excuse to be broke. You don't have an excuse to be lonely. You don't have an excuse to be unfulfilled. You don't have an excuse. I don't have an excuse. I don't have an excuse. I hate it. I don't have no excuse no more. None. None whatsoever. You don't either. None. Well, I can't have, I'm too old to attack somebody. You the only old person? So you alone in your oldness? There's nobody else 63? I'm telling you, nobody that told me 63 would be this cool. I meet cooler people now than I ever met in my 20s and 30s or 40s. I wouldn't trade the people in my life right now for the people I knew when I was in my 20s and a million. Not that nothing was wrong with them, they were cool. But we didn't know nothing and we thought we did. Yeah. You're convinced you know. Can't nobody tell you that you don't know. You don't even know. You don't know nothing. Yeah. That's the older you get, the more you go, I don't know. And then people think it's Alzheimer's. It's wisdom. You're talking about a person that's so enough forgot the past. Be mad at your mama, you don't even remember your mama. When you are happy, you don't have time for it. Yes. Do you know that? You don't even have time for it when you're happy. You don't have time for grievances. You don't have time to think about all the people you're upset at. That's the only, you only do that when you're miserable yourself and not giving yourself no kind of joy. And I'm here to tell you, time may not be real, but we believe in it. So why waste it going nowhere? Woo! So, oh, let me finish this right. That's why I get ran out of town. Let me hurry up and get this thing down. So you've chosen that you're going to choose to judge according to your higher self. Now you make no more mistakes because you have a guide. You have a guide. I'm to the point through the Course in Miracles that I have a guide that talks to me like I'm talking to you. And it will say to me as clear as I'm saying to you, Raj, do this. Don't do that. let that go over there. I want you to move over here. Be willing to go over here. Be willing to do that. You can be directly guided. This book teaches you how to hear your direct guidance. Not make up guidance and then say it's God, which is what the average person does. The Holy Spirit told me to do it, but they're in a miserable condition. It's like, when God told me to do that and it didn't work out, then it wasn't God. It's like the Creator going, oh, God, sorry about that, Earl. Sorry, I'm sorry about that, buddy. I meant to tell you to do that, but you shut down there over there. I'm sorry about that. So how do you get past all the guilt that you would give yourself because of the mistakes that you make until you learn how to love God? By recognizing that you're innocent no matter what you're thinking. But still remembering that nothing can affect your innocence. You are still. Does that mean you don't make mistakes? No. Does it mean that you won't have to deal with the consequences of your mistakes sometimes? No. But it hasn't changed who you really are. It's just asking for you to look at it another way. Well, what way is that? Like this or any other spiritual book that you're attracted to? Oh man, everybody's got their curriculum. Everybody I talk to now, they're going to workshops, they're going to classes, they're studying with this teacher or that curriculum or that curriculum. It's like the awakening process going on in this world right now is so great that it blows my mind. When I got into this stuff 35 years ago, if you talked about anything like this, you were looked at like you were from outer space. Now it's so many teachers and healers, and even when you looked at the TV and you even listen to the traditional ministers and teachers, they're saying the same thing we're saying now. Visualize this and focus on God over here. And it's coming at us every kind of way. But yet we're still going, well, what should I do? I don't know what I should do. I don't know what to do. You know why you're saying that? Because the person is saying that because they haven't made up their mind to not suffer yet. That's all. The minute they say, I've had enough, and I'm willing not to be right, then the help will come at you so fast it'll blow your mind, because the universe is waiting. It's like on its edge, saying, I just want to help you, I just want to help you, I just want to help you, I just want to help you. But why don't you hurry and reach your limit quickly? Stop stalling around. Bottom out. Hit rock bottom. Get to the point you have to surrender, because nothing you do works. To the point you say, I give up. Poof! All of a sudden, stuff starts to happen. Whoa, what happened? All of a sudden, things take. You gave up. What? You gave up. You stopped doing your plan. I went, oh man. But you were something cute while you were doing it. Mm-hmm. Even though you were miserable, you were still cute. Mm-hmm. Y'all so cute if you just, like I said many times in my classes, y'all so freaking cute if you just didn't talk, you would have a date. In this world, you got it made. People are attracted to you because of the way you look in this world. If you look a certain way, you're going to get a certain amount of attention. And if you're a loving person, you look beautiful. I don't care what your body looks like. If you're a loving person, you look gorgeous. I don't care what your body looks like. Y'all know that's true. When you think you're in love with somebody, they look so good to you, and then the minute you don't like them, you say, damn, I never noticed they had a hump in their back. I thought that hump was just the prettiest thing in the world, you know? Now I don't like you. That hump is ugly. So I'm telling you that where you used to laugh, you're going to start laughing. Where you used to cry, where you used to judge, you're going to come to bless. And it's not going to be difficult for you to relinquish judgment, the Course in Miracles says, but it's going to be difficult for you to try to keep the judgment, because now you're realizing that all the pain you've ever gone through has been the cost of you judging stuff that you really couldn't judge. So if you want to use a judgment, if you got to use a judgment, if you have to use a judgment, then what I want you to do is say, my judgment is, this person is a call for love. This person is a call for God. What they're doing is a call for love. What they're doing is a call for God. What they're doing is a call for help. What they're saying is a call for help. What I'm saying, what I'm judging is my call for love. It's my call for help. It's my call for healing. It's me saying, help me, God. Help me, God. Help me, God. Help me, God. But it's taking the form of, I hate him. This person's low down. They're not really cute. I'm mad at them. Why don't you put it in front of the chat? That's call for love. That's my 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 call for love. If you do that, you will watch all the situations in your life that make you unhappy begin to transform into love right before your eyes. And you still have to feel guilty about your judgments, because you're saying my judgment is a call for love. Because you're going to receive love no matter how much you judge. The only thing is when we judge, as I judge too, you're not different from me. I got my areas that I never let up on myself. The only difference is now I don't beat myself up about it. And I go, oh, okay, that's just my call for love again. That's me calling for God, calling for help, calling for help. I'm talking about me again. I forgot that I'm innocent. I forgot that I'm innocent. I forgot that I'm innocent. I forgot that I deserve to be happy. That's all Spirit is waiting for you to do. Just to admit that you hope you're wrong about anything you say about yourself that says anything about you that's not beautiful and gorgeous and juicy and sweet and aware and alive and spiritual. You're awesome. But you acknowledge yourself, Holy Spirit. You're awesome. So why do you come to an Earl Purdy class? Because you know you need to be reminded. Exactly. That's why you come. Not because every time you think you're going to hear something radically different, but because we're coming together to join on the truth. That's the most powerful thing you can do to begin to heal whatever's going on in your life right now. So I appreciate you. We're going to do the financial expression of appreciation right now. I appreciate you. And where is the bag?
There it is in the back.
Thank you. Woo! I needed to hear that. Was I the only one that needed to hear that? Yeah, I needed to hear that. I needed to hear that.
You need to hear that?
Yeah, I needed to hear that. I needed to hear that. Let me start up here. We'll start up here. We'll move it back. Those of you who are watching online, please, I want to thank you for your generosity. I want to thank you for your support. I want to thank you for the emails and the contact that you're making and the things that you're saying to me. For the, shout out to some people in Norway, New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, and New Chicago and Memphis. Okay, so. Hello! What's up? It's so good to be alive. So good to be here with you. So good to feel your light. So good to see who you are. I'll never let you forget. When you forget, I'll remind you. That's going to make the part of you that doesn't want to believe that about you, it's going to make you want to get as far away from me as you can possibly get. Okay? And the part of you that wants to know you love and say, hey, I want to hear that. I want to be reminded. This week I kind of forgot. And I feel kind of depressed this week. So I'm going to make sure I let myself hear the truth about me. And I'm glad to tell you. I'm happy to tell you. Because you're me. We're one. There's just one of us here. Looking like it's a lot of us. But it's just one of us. Oh, that's it. That's really it. That's all it is. So I'm going to wrap up. Yeah, bro.
I just wanted to say to and to everybody here too, I am a new follower, a new student, and I've been practicing. I was going through some things where relationship was on my mind all the time. I'm separated from states, from the person I was involved with, a whole lot of stuff, and really got my mind caught up in a whole bunch of what I didn't have, and this, that, and the other. You was talking about how your mind, how you can control your mind, and by just not thinking, and whenever I have these thoughts that affect me wrong and depress me, I would think about the fact of how I can control my mind, and I would think about something else that was good and pleasant, and it takes away, and I kept doing it to where it got to a point where, Earl, I have been the happiest in the past 2 weeks of my life, and I'm 51 years old. I've been the happiest in my life without.
Hey, y'all, please pay attention and focus in on my brother while he's talking. Go ahead.
All my stressful things that were bringing me stress in my life, I finally found a way to eliminate it. Number one, I don't have no power over, but you showed me that, because it's nothing unless I give it power. You taught me that. I appreciate what you're doing. I support what you're about. And I wanted to tell you thank you.
Thank you, brother.
And it only works if it works.
Thank you. Say, the only thing appreciation makes me do is just want to give more. And that's what appreciation always does with anybody. And the ego will tell people, I ain't going to tell you I appreciate you because it's going to puff up your ego. It's going to make your ego. See, that's stupid. That's stupid. That's the stupidest thing you can. And whenever you hold back gratitude, that's the stupidest thing that your ego could ever get you to do. When you show gratitude and appreciation to a person for real, they just want to give and share and help more. That just made me want to do more. The love that y'all give me make me want to do more. It's not a boost for my ego. It's like, okay, brother, you moving ahead. Now, if I make my happiness dependent on that, then that's when I'm in error. But that doesn't mean that I can't appreciate being appreciated. Those things are not mutually exclusive.
You're appreciated.
Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Lord have mercy. All right, so take a breath. And now the thought we're going to give ourselves is, tell yourself, God's will for me is perfect happiness. God's will for me is perfect happiness. God's will for me is perfect happiness. God's will for me is perfect. Now you want to let the past go, so the past is over. It can touch me not. The past is over. It can touch me not. And I'm never upset for the reason I think. I'm never upset for the reason I think. I place my future in the hands of God. I place my future in the hands of God. I place my future in the hands of God. I place my future in the hands of God. Love created me like itself. Love created me like, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm basically a very bashful person. I get out of my box every time I stand up here, and every time I go beyond the way I normally am. Every time I don't let my ego stop me from expressing myself. When I go past whatever I'm telling myself, I just keep on until I reach a higher ground. Then I always meet some people who meet me where I am. Do you want to put the energy out that will allow you to have what you want right now? Because abundance is your natural state. Abundance is my 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 natural state. I deserve unconditional love right now. You deserve unconditional love right now. I say, I deserve unconditional love right now. I say, I deserve unconditional love right now. So look at somebody and tell them, you deserve unconditional love right now. 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 Forgiveness is the key to happiness. Forgiveness is the key to happiness. I am a call for love. I am a call for love. I am a call for love. And I'm gonna give myself some joy and party like a big dog now. It's time. Party like a dog. A happy dog. A party dog. I'm here to give love. 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 Love, 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 I love y'all. Thanks for showing up today. I appreciate you. Hey, if you want a clarity session, a 101 session, go to my website, earlpurdy.com, and we can get together and we can get past that bull that you're telling yourself is blocking you. If you're sincere about going to another level, help is available. If it's not me, if you're not drawn to me, go to somebody. Don't do it by yourself. You don't have to do anything by yourself. Not anymore. So some cool people in here. Let's give it to the people in the house. Woo! Woo! Love and hugs are available. God bless y'all.
God bless you.
God bless you.